the newsroom. It is time for the France 24 debate. The question we're asking at the hour at which we broadcast is there a clear winner, or is Italy back to being ungovernable? In the first general election since the 2011 fall of Silvio Berlusconi, it's clear the center-left has blown a big early lead in the polls. Early returns enough to erase a healthy rally on Europe's financial markets earlier. Investors failing to see the funny side of comedian Beppe Grillo's strong show. Those European markets had been cheering for technocratic outgoing Premier Mario Monti. He's come in a distant fourth. Did voters reject austerity or the concept of a technocrat endorsed from abroad? What's the knock-on effect of political uncertainty in the Eurozone's third largest economy, a country still mired in debt and recession? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Italy's election and its uncertain outcome with Francesco Saracino, senior economist with the French Economic Observatory, the OFCE. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back as well to Carlo Invernizzi. He teaches at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. We are joined from Milan by Alberto Celani, supporter of the Northern League, contributor to the France 24 Observer's website, the France 24 debate, where you can always join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. Before we go to our panel, let's go to Rome and the headquarters of the Democratic Party as a candidate, the leader of the center-left coalition, Pierluigi Bersani, and join France 24's Armin Georgian, who is there. Armin, this is an evolving story as we see results come in. What is clear, though, is that the Democratic Party and its allies have blown what was a huge lead when the campaign began. What's the mood where you are?
It's pretty glum. I mean, you can imagine the faces of Democratic Party operatives here, François, when those exit polls changed. They initially gave Pierluigi Bersani a fairly clear lead, and there was a confident statement by one of his spokesmen, and then the mood completely changed when we saw initially that Silvio Berlusconi seemed to be ahead in the race for the Senate. It's changed hands again, actually, because we're now getting through an aggregate of polls that Bersani is slightly ahead in the Senate. That's, of course, very important. What happens in the Senate, because it's the key to forming a coalition, or not, as the case may be. But really, not a huge amount not a huge wedge that one can put between Bersani and Berlusconi at the moment in that crucial race.
All right, and what is clear at this point is that the man who came in as the anti-establishment candidate, Beppe Grillo, is faring much better than expected. What are people that you've been talking to, Armin, expecting? Are they expecting him to play a part, a role in a coalition, or to continue to play the anti-establishment role and stay out of government?
Just to give you a quick snapshot first of the situation in the polls, he's actually less than, at the moment, around 1% different from Berlusconi. There's only a gap of 1% in the Senate projections so far. So that just gives you an idea of how well Beppe Grillo has done. Predictably, he did well in Sicily. He outperformed the Democratic Party. Now, in terms of what could he do next, I was just speaking to a Democratic Party advisor who said that she expected him to slightly change tack, even though he himself didn't actually run for a seat. What she pointed out was that in the regional election, remember that Italians are also electing regional assemblies today. In Sicily, the Five Star Movement worked with the PD, the Democratic Party. And initially, Beppe Grillo said, oh, no way, I'm having nothing to do with the establishment. when he realized that things were actually going quite well on a regional level in that election in Sicily, he sort of seemed to backtrack a little bit and said, well, perhaps, we can do some sort of deal. Now, of course, it remains to be seen, and it's a huge question whether nationally that is something
that's going to play out the same way.
He could really countenance or not.
All right, Armin Georgian, thanks for that, and we'll be following your updates throughout the night here on France 24. I want to welcome another guest to the studio, Italian journalist Augusta Conciglia. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about Beppe Grillo, a satirist and comedian who, by the way, shot to fame in the late 1980s as host of the Sanremo Music Festival on television. Grillo, who during the campaign shunned television, instead getting his message across over the internet and at mass rallies. On Sunday when he voted, Grillo still touting his anti-establishment message when he went to cast his ballot in Genoa on Sunday.
They will always be that way. And the people who vote for them are also schemers. The question is an economic one. This is a country in ruins. We have to rebuild it from scratch. Look for new ideas, extraordinary ideas when it comes to schools, the sanitation system, and how to run the country through the citizens. This is already a big revolution. After this, we need to take stock.
All right, the other politicians are schemers, is what he says. What is Beppe Grillo going to do now?
That's a very difficult question. There is the president of Sicily that seems to be somehow reassuring because, as your correspondent said, once he gets to actually having to take decisions, he's not completely responsible. The problem is whether this will be good for the country as a whole, because we have had a concept of gross coalition. I'm not sure it's going to work in Italy. There seemed to be, for once, a chance of having a government with a clear platform and more or less coherent, and then could do well or bad. That was to be seen, but at least something homogeneous that could take decisions. The idea of having a coalition going from the far left to Beppe Grillo, or even putting inside Monti, somebody has been saying, is terrifying, because this will mean paralysis. No major decisions will be taken. And this leads me to think that maybe Beppe Grillo will not do it, because that would be the end of his career.
Looking at the early returns, Carlo Invernizzi, are we headed towards paralysis, as Francesco Saracino fears?
Well, I don't know. It's very difficult at this moment to make any predictions because the results keep coming in and they keep changing. What seems to me an interesting thing that is revealed by these results as they keep coming in is a broader tendency that I think it might be interesting to discuss, which concerns a transformation in the Italian political spectrum, which is also indicative of a broader transformation, I think, also in Europe, which is that the left-right axis seems to have given way to another line of opposition, which is the opposition between, on one hand, technocracy, and on the other hand, populism. And these two things are what struggle to gain power in Italy at the moment, but also have a complicated relationship between them. So it seems to me that is the interesting tendency which at this point we can discuss, rather than what's going to happen, because it's difficult to know.
All right, yeah, so a choice between, as you say, technocracy or populism. Alberto Celani, you're at the headquarters of the Northern League, coalition partner to Silvio Berlusconi's PDL. You're in Milan. What's your take on why Beppe Grillo did so well?
Because it seems people is fed up. Being fed up has been the major sentiment of this election. Only the 75.1% of people went to vote, the Minister Cancellieri said, and the 6% less than the last elections. This is the second sign. Populism, anti-politics, and the big party or no voters. Why? Beppe Grillo presented himself as the party from the net. People are involved into a big rally and clash through the net. Few level of presence on the medias, on the common medians. No television appearance for the Italian Movimento 5 Stars, Movimento 5 Stelle. And this is a new way of presenting themselves and presenting person to politics.
All right, let's pick up on that point. Let's pick up on that point. Augusta Conciglia, is my job in trouble here? Because Beppe Grillo did well without going on a single television panel.
Yeah. No, because the television were there at every meeting, so he was using the television very well. It's not being used by the television as others maybe did. What is interesting is, I mean, I agree with what you said. I would add that Beppe Grillo is the result of a long history of populism, apolitical attitude that Berlusconi has developed in Italy is the way how he could raise so quickly. So he opened the way for this kind of attitude. So it's not a new thing, one. And secondly, is not, I wouldn't qualify him as a leftist. Is has no affiliation to anything. And besides this, he has no structure. I mean, there is no headquarters, there's no party, nobody is answering for anything. I mean, these people that are now senators or MPs of his movement will have been chosen by himself personally, so no sign of democracy. Is a sort of direct people's participation, but in reality is his own strategy which has been implemented.
His own strategy. Was his candidacy good news for Italian politics? Since, you know, he brings lots of young people. People complain that all the guys running are old. You know, he brings new blood. Even Mario Monti, who they cast as this guy full of integrity, he had a banking scandal on his watch. Here you have new people coming into the system and communicating in a new way.
Yeah, I wouldn't qualify them as young people necessarily. There's all sorts of people that are discontent with the system, of course. There are many reasons for it. So he had a special, how do you say, moment of history where he could fit into this general discontent and discredit of the politician in Italy. But it's not much a generational issue there. It's more a political attitude towards the system.
Carlo Invernizzi, what's going to happen to all his voters and to the fact that, he's going to have a lot of seats. So what's going to happen now? He's going to become a boring political party like everybody else? Well,
that's actually quite interesting. And I fully agree with you that the possibility of somebody like Grillo was opened up by Berlusconi. Also in another sense, that on one hand, he is presented as this populist, direct democracy, embodying directly the people. But if you read his program and the kinds of things he does, actually his agenda is very pragmatic, technical. He keeps saying, I'm not left or right. I want to address specific issues on their own merits. And this is why, for example, in Sicily, they have been able to find some deals with the Democratic Party. Because actually, I'm not even sure if, in terms of this opposition between technocracy and populism, he's only on one side or maybe on both at the same time.
So, listening to Carlo, you get the sense that he makes him sound like a technocratic populist.
Well, he's everything at the same time. That's the problem with him. I agree. He has a very clear view on a number of issues. And this is what in Sicily made things work with the Democratic Party, because they could go and settle and make agreements on single issues. At a national level, it's going to be much harder, for example, on topics like immigration, on which the traditional left still has a position, which is a position traditional in this sense, and in which I see possible clashes with the party of Grillo. This is why I was saying that they may actually come to form a government, because even if he say that the left and right are the same, I think he's more interested in looking towards the left than towards Berlusconi.
Oh, so you think he could be lured? That's interesting.
But that said, when it comes to the governing on many issues, the risk is that there will be no decisions taken. So these issues will be discreetly put aside so that they don't cause any embarrassment, or on the other hand, they will come up public and show that there is paralysis.
All right, so Beppe Grillo blurring the traditional lines. You could say the same thing about the head of that center-left coalition, Pierluigi Bersani. He started his political career as a communist, but he also led a vast wave of privatizations when he was the industry minister in the late 1990s.
I understand that people find it strange on the left. Our tradition is both social and liberal. The right has never had a liberal component.
Augusto Conciglia, that definition of what the left is today in Italy, do you agree with it?
The Italian left is, the left, we say the central left, social democratic parties as the Democratic Party is very similar to the French one, Socialist Party, or to the average of the Social Democratic Party in Europe. It's nothing new that they've opened up to the market economy. Since a long time, they've, the communist history is far away, and Italy was the first communist party actually to leave behind the loyalty to the Soviet Union, etc. So it's the first one opening to Europe, to the European sort of socialism, etc. So it's not new, and they're very pragmatic too. Actually, the market were clapping when the first indication of a possible victory of the Democratic Party. The market were
applauding it.
Quite happy with it. So it shows that they are also a serious manager, possibly, and the history has proven it. Now, I don't know, as everyone here, if they will have the means to govern the country.
Carlo Invernizzi, did Bersani blow it? Could he have had his lead?
Yes,
could he have had his coalition in both the lower and the upper house, no problem?
Yes, I unfortunately here will disagree with you, because I think that actually Bersani failed to represent actually precisely an alternative to this opposition between technocracy and populism. He had no political project which was alternative to the political project which Monti has been proposing and which Europe imposes. There is no party in Italy. The question of austerity was not discussed. The question of how to get out of the crisis was not discussed. The only real political party in Italy, the party that's not just one person, but actually is a party, is the Democratic Party, didn't embody a political alternative.
All right, failed to take off. When we come back, we're going to look at what Italy's election means for the rest of Europe. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.